The Abominable Love, a novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This is an intriguing epic story which resonates with love, resilience, courage, and sacrifice. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief paragraphs for a review to be printed in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. This story is a work of fiction, but the entire novel is based on a real love affair between an Arab girl and an African boy. All names, characters, places, and events are either the product of the author's imagination or used literary. Therefore, any resemblance to actual people, living or dead, events, or locales is merely coincidental. Chapter 46. The Brothel Prostitute and Drug Dealer. 2 weeks later, the accused Arab wife Insaf Silla al-Junaid has been transferred along with the other suspects to the criminal court in the Churchgate neighborhood in downtown Bombay, which is the largest cosmopolitan city of India. Upon their arrival, Insaf is astonished to see about 500 Sudanese students gathered in the court complex. Most of them are Northern Arabs like her. Besides them, there is a large number of African students. As soon as she got out of the police vehicle, hundreds of students from the north of her country surrounded her. She happened to be wearing the same transparent white nightgown that is exposing her large buttocks and big breasts, and her small red underwear is also visible. Her big boobs are covered by a red bra that everyone could see through the transparent white nightie. Even a street hooker or a brothel prostitute might not agree to appear in a public place in such a revealing dress. Even the bad dress that the late pimp lady, Haja Shada, bought for her and the jail administration forced her to wear on the day of her third session was not exposing her private parts as this transparent nightgown is doing now. On the day of her arrest, the Indian police did not allow the Arab wife Insaf to change her nightgown and wear modest clothing. She came from Sudan to India with only one dress and one pair of shoes that she was wearing on her body and feet on the day of her arrival. She left all her dresses, other underwear, and shoes with her African husband, Ding, in their small hut. She changed her dress and put on her husband's cousin Christina's nightie on the night she arrived at her apartment. From then on, for 2 weeks in the women's jail in Bombay, she wore the same transparent nightgown on her body. This transparent nightie made her red underwear, pink bra, and other private parts completely visible. As we mentioned above, this immodest and scandalous nightgown belongs to her husband's African cousin, Christina. She is the evil drug dealer who got Insaf and some other suspected foreign students into felony trouble with the Indian narcotics police. Then the Arab wife began to hear many sons and daughters of her motherland speaking to her in Arabic. They questioned her involvement in the drug charge. Some of them expressed their regret at seeing a beautiful white Sudanese Arab girl among the suspected black African girls. Others told her that she has brought shame to Sudan by being involved in drug smuggling charges with those black bitches. Insaf ignored their hurtful remarks and obscene questions, bowed her head down and avoided looking at them. However, a conversation between 2 boys from northern Sudan touched her heart deeply and caused hot tears to fall from her beautiful eyes. One student asked another student in Arabic, how did that black southern Negro slave convince her to marry him? His friend replied, love is blind. The 2 Sudanese boys are talking loudly on purpose to make her hear them. I don't think a beautiful white Arab girl like this could fall in love with a black Negro slave from South Sudan. Maybe he is from a wealthy southern family who is living in northern Sudan. Therefore, his rich African parents weighed her white body in gold and bought her with huge sums of money from her poor Arab family. I cannot believe that a pure Arab girl like her could allow a southern Negro boy to sleep in the same bed with her. I think she is a dirty whore and a notorious drug dealer. Before the impudent Sudanese boy could finish his vulgar words, Insaf turned her face towards him and spat on his face. The Arab boy felt humiliated in front of his northern Sudanese companions. To free himself from embarrassment and humiliation, he criticized Insaf with many vulgar words. You're a dirty whore and a worthless drug dealer. You're a fucking daughter of a dog and a filthy bitch. I will fuck your dirty pussy with my big cock and screw your mother's filthy ass. To attack Insaf, while he is insulting her with these obscene words, the angry boy began to make his way towards her. Some of his friends caught him, stopping him with difficulty as his vile mouth foamed and sparks flew from his red eyes. At the same time, the detained Arab wife and the other suspects have been transferred inside the criminal courtroom. The accused foreigners did not spend more than 20 minutes inside the Indian courtroom. The court clerk counted them, made them sign their names, and gave them another date for a second hearing. Then the judge ordered the police to return them to jail. On that day, an incident occurred outside the courtroom, which damaged Insaf's reputation and spoiled her moral integrity. Immediately after she left the court, she has been approached by the same angry North Sudanese Arab student who had hurt her feelings. He stood in front of her and shouted in English, "The brothel whore and drug dealer. I swear by God Almighty and His holy book that this Arab girl is a prostitute from the city of Al-Gadarif. I can swear by placing my right hand on the Holy Quran that I had sex with her several times in the notorious brothels and taverns in the airport neighborhood of Al-Gadarif city. Many times, I got her big pussy and asshole fucked by my large dick." The black Southern Negro slave who had sex with her and impregnated her with a bastard child had taken her from those brothels in my city. She became pregnant with a bastard child, and when her Arab father wanted to kill her, she ran away from home and became a hooker in the streets of Khartoum. She also became a prostitute in the brothels of the capital city, a local liquor seller, and a drug dealer. She was a famous high-ranking prostitute, and as a result of a financial dispute with a Sudanese pimp woman known as Haja Shadha, she killed her. Hundreds of wealthy Sudanese and Arabs from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf countries had sex with her and all fucked her in the pussy and ass. She has a big pussy that can be fucked with a stick or a man's leg. Therefore, her dirty pussy has a nauseating smell. Her hairy pussy also looks like a dead, decomposing rat. If she is not a notorious prostitute, she would not have appeared in a foreign country like India in this transparent dress that is exposing her private parts. Every man could see her small red swimsuit-like underwear and her pink bra that barely cover her big boobs and large tits. Now her asshole, her big buttocks, and the black pubic hair of her cunt are all clearly visible, as if she is in a porn movie filming. The other North Sudanese students received the student's obscene words about Insaf with applause and cheers. They believed every word he has said about her because he happened to be born in the same hometown as the birthplace of Insaf, Al-Gadarif city. The detained Arab girl Insaf has never felt so much humiliation and harm throughout her life as she experienced at this time. The words of that North Sudanese student caused a deep wound inside her, as if a poisoned dagger has been stuck in her heart. She could not be able to cry, to talk, or to walk. All she could do is to stand still in her place like a statue or a lifeless body that has been deprived of its soul. Slowly, she gathered her shattered self-esteem and bent down, as if she is kneeling in a prayer of repentance and forgiveness. Everyone thought she would kneel on the ground and ask God for forgiveness for her sins and crimes of prostitution and drug dealing. Then her right hand reached her high heel and held it. In a quick movement that is not expected by those looking at her, she stood up and threw her shoe in the face of the bad Sudanese student. The high heel flew straight like a spear and hit his left eye, stabbing it like a dagger. The evil Sudanese Arab boy felt as if a poisonous dagger has been stuck in his eye. Blood gushed from his eye like a torrent of red water. He grabbed his face with both hands and started screaming in unbearable pain. His friends gathered around him and tried to help him. Some of them ran towards the perpetrator, Insaf, and tried to assault her. The Indian guards met them with their batons and pushed them back. One of the Sudanese boys somehow managed to reach Insaf and pushed her. She fell upside down until her feet spread apart from each other. She inadvertently exposed her thighs, hips, and tiny red underwear. Immediately, an Indian guard helped her get back on her feet. Another guard shouted at another detained Sudanese girl and asked her why the foreign defendant, Insaf, stabbed her high-heeled shoe in the face of the foreign student and blinded his eye. The main accused in the drug case, Christina, replied because he called her a dirty whore and a drug dealer. An Indian policewoman told the other jail guards, "Put her quickly in the police wagon before they attack her again." The guards pulled Insaf's hands and pushed her into their police car. When the police vehicle started moving, the Arab girl Insaf began to hear hundreds of voices shouting at her in Arabic, "The Sudanese prostitute and drug dealer." The bad student's eye injury did not cause as much damage to Insaf as it did to her name and reputation in the Indian media. That Sudanese foreign student already had a criminal record with the Bombay police for sexually harassing an Indian woman. When the quarrel occurred between the accused, Insaf, and that foreign student, some Indian journalists were present. Those journalists, while reporting the news, believed that the foreign student's insults about the accused girl and developed them into a big story. The bad Sudanese student had spoken his lies and shameful claims about the foreign suspect Insaf in both English and Arabic. Some of the most famous local newspapers in the city of Bombay, such as Asian Age and the Times of India, included long articles on the front pages about the bloody fight. The Times of India newspaper chose an attractive headline: "An Arab prostitute named Insaf Salah al-Junaid assaults a Sudanese foreign student in the Bombay criminal court by gouging out his left eye when she hit him with her high-heeled shoe." The other newspaper, the Asian Age, reported the incident under an article titled, "An Arab foreign prostitute accused of drug trafficking assaults a Sudanese foreign student in the Bombay criminal court. She attacked him in front of the jail guards and blinded his left eye by one of her high heels." Each article showed a picture of the foreign Arab defendant, Insaf, while the Indian guards were dragging her toward their wagon. Another press photo showed her throwing her black high heel at the evil Sudanese foreign student. As for the third scandalous photo, it showed her at the moment she got pushed by another foreign student and fell on her back, revealing her bare white thighs and hips and her small red underwear. The popular newspaper's articles also recounted the drug charges against the detained Arab foreigner and other suspects. The article writers focused more on the foreigner Insaf, not only due to her bloody fight with the Sudanese student, but because she was arrested on drug smuggling charge. According to their reports, which they obtained from the Bombay Anti-Drug Trafficking Police, the foreign Arab defendant, Insaf, flew from Sudan to India one day before the mass police arrest took place. She is neither a resident of India nor a foreign student. She came to the country as a tourist girl. The main purpose of her short visit is to smuggle drugs out of India and take them to a Western foreign country. She represents the foreign hands abroad. Although she was traveling on a Sudanese passport, the police suspected her identity. She doesn't look like a black African girl at all. The complexion of her white skin, her long hair, and the beauty of her face all indicate that she is a young Arab woman or an Iranian girl. The anti-narcotics police officers took her fingerprints and are now conducting a thorough investigation into the charge against her. According to the anti-narcotics police chief, Krishna Ram Parasad, a comprehensive investigation into her past outside the country may reveal a previous criminal record of the accused foreign girl, Insaf Salah al-Junaid. Those false negative reports by the anti-narcotics police that appeared in the famous local newspapers made all Sudanese students hate the Northern Arab Muslim girl even more and consider her a disgrace to the bright name of Sudan. Chapter 47. A philanthropist helps the detained Arab girl. For 3 weeks, the suspected Arab wife Insaf Salah al-Junaid lived in the squalid Indian women's jail into which she was thrown that could more correctly be described as a place of starvation or death concentration camp. She lived with a short white nightgown on her body and a single shoe on her foot. The single dress that Insaf has on her body for 21 days is a transparent nightgown that belongs to Christina. It reveals her sexy body as if she is half naked. She has no soap to clean her body or wash her dress. She has no toothbrush and no toothpaste. In the Indian jail, while the suspect is in remand, he is not entitled to receive anything from the prison authority except 1 meal a day. His family or friends must provide him with these necessities of life. The Indian interrogators had brutally tortured Insaf for 3 days. She was forced to confess to a crime she did not commit. She would rather be beaten to death than confess to a crime she did not commit. However, through their harsh interrogation technique, which they call the third-degree method, the Indian police interrogators, who are known as extortioners, can force a suspect who has flesh made of iron to confess to a crime he did not commit. The Arab wife, Insaf, always remembers her promise to her African husband, Deng, to keep their child alive in her womb until she gives birth to him or her. Therefore, to protect the life of their fetus in her womb, she confessed to committing a drug trafficking crime that she did not commit. A week after that bloody fight with the evil Sudanese student, the foreign defendant, Insaf, received a small letter from someone. It is a postcard with a greeting card. The person who sent the note did not mention his name or address. He just mentioned that he sympathizes with her and wants to lend a helping hand. With this little letter, Insaf received 10 beautiful dresses, 7 pairs of shoes, a blanket, 2 pillows, soaps, a toothpaste, a toothbrush, cookies, candies, and 15,000 Indian rupees. The jail administration informed her that she would not be allowed to have money inside the pre-trial detention facility. She can exchange the money for meal coupons and use them anytime she wants to purchase food or other goods from the jail cafeteria. The Sudanese defendant, Insaf, felt great relief after receiving this heavenly manna. She understood that there is at least one person in India who does not view her as a dirty whore and drug dealer who deserve to be hated and tortured to death. On that day, Insaf stripped off her old dress, took a shower, and put on her new clothes. She threw into the trash can the dirty, transparent nightgown that the criminal foreign student, Christina, had given her. Then Insaf ate her meal in the jail cafeteria. By evening, she began to look again like a lotus blossoming among the wildflowers. Foreign student suspects and convicts who had previously avoided sitting near her came to her and tried to win her friendship. Some of them even begged her for alms. Insaf did not remember their bad attitudes towards her before she received her heavenly manna, so she shared her heavenly gifts with them with all love and generosity. She also gave 3 abandoned prisoners some clothes and soaps. The next day, Insaf received another postcard. She immediately recognized the handwriting. The sender has not identified himself again. He asked her for permission to appoint a lawyer to defend her case in court. There is a small agreement form attached to the greeting card. She is asked to sign the form and hand it over to the jail authority. The innocent foreign defendant, Insaf, gladly agreed to be represented by a lawyer in the Indian criminal court. She felt that she could have a lawyer to defend her case in court and a loving person who has her best interests at heart. The Sudanese accused, Insaf, continued to receive those cards of congratulations and divine providence for 3 months prior her next appearance before the judge in the Bombay Criminal Court again. At her second appearance, the court issued an official order preventing any foreign student from approaching the court complex. Only foreign students who can prove their close relationship with the suspects are allowed into the courtroom. In addition, the court refused to issue a permit to any student whose relatives inside the jail do not agree to visit him. Therefore, the Arab wife, Insaf, became happy when she entered the criminal court complex and did not see any hostile faces. After taking their attendance, the judge set another date for the suspects to appear before him in the future. The third session is scheduled to be held in 2 months' time. Then the suspects, males and females, have been escorted to the police wagons. Insaf asked some of the other suspects how long they should wait for the Indian judge to issue his final ruling on them. A suspected Sudanese girl told her that they would be put on trial for 3 to 5 years. She became worried that she would give birth to her baby in the women's detention in a foreign country, inside the filthy Indian jail in Bombay City. The foreign Arab wife does not want her firstborn child to learn to crawl, walk, and talk in prison. She does not yet know whether her child is male or female. She hopes to have a boy so she can name him after his late father, Deng, who sacrificed his life for them. Shortly after her second court appearance, the pregnant foreign suspect Insaf has been taken to the jail clinic doctor for a pregnancy test. The doctor told her that she would give birth to her baby in 3 weeks. A few weeks later, Insaf received a postcard from the same anonymous benefactor. The dispatcher asked her if she wants to be granted bail and help her stay out of jail during her pretrial. The loving charitable donor also stated that he is aware of her due date and hopes that she will deliver her baby in a good hospital. The pregnant defendant Insaf has gladly received the good news, so she immediately signed her bail form and mailed it to her attorney. A few days later, Insaf has been informed that she has been granted bail and that she will be sent to a private hospital to give birth to her firstborn. The next morning, she is transferred by ambulance to the Holy Family Hospital. It is a private Catholic Christian hospital, but it is open to anyone who can afford it. It so happened that on the same day that the Arab wife Insaf gave birth to a baby boy in Bombay City, it is the same day that her African husband Ding underwent a second back spinal surgery at the hospital in London City, in the United Kingdom. However, his wife does not know that he is still alive. She thought that he was killed and died as a Kurban sacrifice, a victim of their so-called abominable love. She is alone when the baby was born. Insaf is incredibly happy when her little boy saw the light of day. She thanked God that her child was not killed inside her womb when those merciful her God for keeping him alive inside her womb and not starving him to death when she got starved for 3 weeks. The one meal she ate daily during those 21 days inside the women's jail would not satisfy or fill a child's tummy. It was just a little rice, lentils, and 1 egg. She understood that thanks to her loving benefactor, who took pity on her, her child was able to live and grow in her womb. She extended her hand and placed it gently on her newborn. She felt close to her baby. She felt Ding's loving touch on her little boy. She remembered her husband and his great love for her. She reminisced in tears the painful moments when the 2 Arab policemen tore them apart. Since then, she did not know what had happened to her beloved husband. She is now more inclined to believe that Ding sacrificed his life for her and their child. After giving birth to her firstborn, the new mother Insaf has been moved from the delivery room to a private room. The hospital staff informed her that someone has booked her in a private room for 3 days. The private room is like a 5-star hotel suite. It is very spacious and has everything inside. It has a big screen TV, a bathroom with toilet, and a large bed. It also has a phone. Insaf wonders who would spend so much money by helping a foreign girl accused of being a drug smuggler in the best room she has ever seen. She spent more than 3 months in the dirtiest women's jail in the entire world. But today, she stays with her child in the most beautiful room in India. She had slept for 3 months on the hard floor inside Arthur Road Women's Prison, but now she is lying comfortably on a large bed. Most of the Indian suspects and guards suffer from xenophobia and hence they hate the suspected foreign girls and beat them with or without reason. While in prison, 2 African suspected girls were killed during the night by some Indian suspects and convicts for unknown reasons. Therefore, Insaf hoped that she would not be returned to that hostile environment. She thanked God because due to her white skin complexion and long hair the Indian guards, suspects, and convicts thought that she was an Indian girl like them. This misunderstood identity made them not to hate and beat her as they did to other black African suspects. The new mother Insaf began to worry about her next step. She knows she's been released on bail and can stay free somewhere until the criminal court finalizes her case, but where can she go after 3 days with this little baby boy? She could not expect any Sudanese students to help her because of what they thought of her. She wished that her 3 days in the private Christian hospital would be extended to 3 years. Unfortunately, good days always pass faster than unpleasant days. On the 4th day, the foreign patient Insaf has been told by an Indian nurse that she will be discharged from the hospital at noon. As she is thinking about her next move, an idea came to her mind. She decided to return to the women's jail in Bombay and raise her child there. Therefore, the foreign suspect girl Insaf has finally determined to cancel her bail and return to her former hellish, crowded abode, in the women's concentration camp which is euphemistically called the Indian Women's Jail. At least there, she and her child can have shelter and food. However, Insaf wondered how she could carry her 3-day-old baby and walk through the crowded streets of Bombay. She is afraid that the car's smoke and pollution of India's largest cosmopolitan city will suffocate her little boy to death. Moreover, she remembered that the distance between the hospital and the women's jail is too far for her to walk. Then the mother of the newborn ate her last meal in her private room at the Holy Family Hospital and breastfed her child. Next, she wrapped her baby boy in a large white sheet, changed out of her hospital uniform, and got dressed. She then carried a small bag in one hand and her child in the other. She left her temporary security shelter and began walking inside the hospital complex. While she is walking down the hospital stairs, the foreign defendant, Insaf, suddenly heard a woman's voice calling her name. The woman said in a polite voice, "Excuse me, Mrs. Insaf Salah al-Junaid." The Sudanese mother who had recently given birth turned her face and saw two Indian women hurriedly approaching her. One of the women is in her early 60s and the other is a beautiful young girl. Each of them is wearing an extraordinarily rich and beautiful Indian sari. Their faces are calm. They are smiling and eager to welcome her, greet her, and talk to her. As soon as they reached her, the older woman hugged Insaf and kissed her baby. Then the same Indian woman said politely, "I am Mrs. Matthew, and this is my daughter-in-law Lillian." Insaf extended her hand to Lillian and shook hands with Mrs. Matthew. Then Mrs. Matthew asked very respectfully, "Would you mind coming with us to the waiting room?" "I don't mind that at all, Auntie," Insaf said calmly. The new mother silently followed the two Indian ladies as they escorted her to the waiting room. They occupied a sofa next to a handsome young Indian man who seemed to be their relative. Then the three Indians asked the foreign girl Insaf to sit near them. "This is my son Mark," Mrs. Matthew said as she placed her right hand on the boy's shoulder. "He's Lillian's husband," the Indian mother continued. Insaf looked shyly at Mark and then smiled at him. He is a handsome young Indian man with an athletic body like a basketball player. He reminded her of her African lover, Dang, who was also an excellent basketball player. Mark is 2 years older than his Indian wife, Lillian. He is tall and has a good build. "Hello, Insaf," Mark said with a smile on his face. The Sudanese wife replied, "Hello, Mark. I can speak Arabic Shia, or a little bit." He said this sentence in Arabic. Mark spends at least a month every year in the Arab Gulf countries. He also said, "I have many Sudanese friends there." Insaf smiled again at him but did not say anything. Insaf, Mark is the anonymous Indian charitable benefactor who has been helping you all this time during your stay in the Women's Detention Center in the Bombay Arthur Road Jail, Mrs. Matthew said, while she is looking at her son's face. "We came to know about your case through the Sudanese Christian boy, Adam. When we decided to help you, we faced some objections from our church leaders and members. The church leaders did not mind if we helped the African defendant, Adam. They know that Adam is a good Christian student and a respectable boy, but in your case, they wanted us to be careful. Despite our church's warning, my son Mark insisted that we must help you, and so far, we have done so." Mark said, "Yes, Insaf, let me first tell you why I decided to help you. I were there in the criminal court complex when that evil Sudanese student insulted you. And I heard and understood all the inappropriate words he used against you, which prompted you to hit him with your high heel and blind his left eye. I saw you when another Sudanese young man pushed you down. I also saw you when you fell to the ground and your private body was exposed. To be honest with you, I did not like the way you dressed up that day. After that, I spoke to the accused Sudanese boy, Adam, and asked him about you. He told me that the Indian narcotics police officers did not allow you to change your nightgown and put on your clothes on the day of your mass arrest in Christina's apartment. This is one of the strong reasons I decided to help you, and the second reason, which is the main one I decided to help you for, is your reaction to the dirty insults of that bad Sudanese boy. I understood that if you were truly a prostitute and drug dealer, you would not have reacted in such a violent way by hitting your attacker in the face with your high-heel shoe and gouging out his left eye. Before the Arab mother, who gave birth to her firstborn 3 days ago, could deliver a speech of thanks to Mark, his wife, Lillian, asked her, "Now, Insaf, can you tell us what you plan to do after leaving the hospital with your newborn child?" The homeless Sudanese girl said while crying, "I don't know anyone in this city or anywhere else in India. I have no place to go to but the women's jail." When she said those sad words, Mrs. Matthew and Mrs. Lillian wiped some tears from their eyes as well. "But I have already bailed you out of jail," Mark said. The jail authority will not allow you to return to your dorm unless you refuse the bail. At least the jail is safer than the streets. On top of that, my firstborn is just a baby born 3 days ago." The sad Sudanese mother said those words in a crying voice, while tears falling from her eyes like drops of heavy rain. Mrs. Matthew approached her and affectionately hugged her tightly. "Don't say those words again, my daughter Insaf. I am a mother like you. I have 1 son and 3 daughters." Mrs. Matthew continued, while crying, "I cannot leave a young mother of your age and a baby like your son wandering on the streets or return back to jail." Mark said seriously after interrupting his mother's heartbreaking words, "Listen, Insaf. We are willing to provide you with further assistance, but we want to make sure that we will not get into trouble with the law. We want you to tell us how you got involved in the drug trafficking charge." Before the Sudanese girl has a chance to respond to Mark's direct question, his wife Lillian said with a lot of respect, "Insaf, even if you were not living a good life before today, we can still help you if you are willing to mend your wrong ways and stay away from the company of those bad African students who implicated you in the drug trafficking." The suspected Sudanese girl quickly said while crying, "I was not a bad woman when I was in Sudan, and I was not involved in any wrong activities considered against the law when I came to India. Wherever I went, people were blackmailing me, accusing me, and getting me into legal troubles with the law. I had no hand in the drug trafficking charge for which I am arrested in this country." Mark asked in amazement, "So this means that you think you are an innocent suspect of that drug charge?" "I am completely innocent of the accusation that some sons and daughters of my motherland have implicated me in. I do not know which of them is innocent and who among them is guilty. I don't even know what the drugs look like in their form." Mark asked seriously, "Then how did you end up in Christina's apartment where you were arrested?" "Christina is my husband's cousin." Lillian quickly asked, "So, you are a married Muslim girl, and you did not become pregnant and give birth to a child outside of wedlock as people thought of you?" "Yes, I am a Muslim girl, married in a legal Islamic marriage. My marriage contract with my Muslim husband Dang was performed in a mosque in the city of Khartoum." Mrs. Matthew asked, "Where is your Muslim husband now?" "He is still in Sudan. He was shot by a policeman on the same day we were supposed to travel together from Sudan to India." "Why did the police shoot him?" Lillian and Mrs. Matthew asked in unison. "Because they accused us of violating the Sharia law through cohabitation and having haram sex or un-Islamic sexual intercourse." Mark said, "Okay, Insaf, don't hesitate to tell us your whole life story from the time you were in Sudan until you were arrested in India and accused of drug smuggling with those 7 foreign African students." It took Insaf more than an hour to tell Matthew's family the tragic story of her alleged abominable love. During that period, Lillian looked down and Mark's eyes wandered here and there, but Mrs. Matthew did not stop looking into the eyes of the foreign accused, even for a single minute. When the Arab wife finished telling her sad life story, Mrs. Matthew is the first to comment on it. "My daughter, Insaf, as I told you, I am a mother like you, and I have 3 daughters. 2 of them got married and have children. My youngest daughter, who is your age, still lives with me. One thing I've learned from raising them is that they can never fool me. They cleverly tried to hide their lies from me, but I could always read them in their eyes. I heard every word you told us about your life story, and I saw it written in your eyes. I am completely convinced that every word you have said about yourself is true. For this reason, we welcome you and your infant to come and stay with us in our home until your court case is finalized."